Hey everybody, and Tony here with a review of Gounod's Romeo et Juliette, which was live from the Wiener Staatsoper. The conductor was Placido Domingo, the production was done by Jürgen Flimm, the sets and lights were done by Patrick Woodruff, the costumes were done by Birgit Hutter, the choreographer was Renato Zanella, and the chorus master was Thomas Lang. I was anticipating this particular production of Romeo et Juliette because of the two lead singers, Juan Flores, who was Romeo, and Aida Garifuna, who was Juliet. I'll gladly talk about their performances much later in this review, but first, my thoughts on the production. Overall, I found it to be a little bit jumbled in certain areas. The first half was basically pop mixed with pomp, though it did start off rather solemnly as we are presented the corpses of Romeo and Juliet before the actual opera begins. And this basically serves as a prologue to the story. And once we get into the first half of the opera, we see all the guests, mainly in red, and they do a dance that's an amalgamation of a minuet and a waltz. And once Lord Capulet enters, he is also seen wearing red, but I have to say that the costume he wore made him kind of ridiculous, if you ask me. And once he presents his daughter, Juliette, she at first appears wearing something akin to what Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera would wear in their pop concerts, before changing into her white gown. So the entirety of the first and second act was basically a little bit jumbled in terms of the concept. However, in the second half, consisting of the third and the fourth acts, it was a little bit more consistent. We even have the pleasure of seeing Stefano, the Montague's page boy, riding his bicycle before a knife fight between Mercutio and Tybalt occurs, and eventually a knife fight between Romeo and Tybalt. So this is where the costumes, at least in my opinion, are a little bit more consistent, as the people behind this production were able to understand the gravity and the overall seriousness that these characters are about to get themselves into. It is far from the pomp amalgamation in the first half of the opera, and I kind of liked how this opera ended with Romeo and Juliette being transfigurated after they did themselves in. So as I stated before, the production may be all over the place, but I do like the costumes of some of the characters, as they were colorful and absolutely lively, even though they were a little bit on the monochromatic side. What's also interesting about this particular production is that it does try to be all bright and flashy, but at times it does try to be tacky with all of these blazing spotlights and even some sparks going on the stage to make it even more exciting. I thought it was a little bit too much in some areas, but it is what it is. I can tell that the people behind this production did their best, and I knew that they had a pretty enjoyable experience making this come to life. And now we get to the singers, and let's start off with Juan Flores as Romeo. Now, what more can I say about Juan Flores that hasn't been said already? I was really looking forward to him singing this particular role, as I've always loved him as a singer. What has always been extremely admirable about Senor Flores is his absolutely flawless timbre, and of course, his peerless musicianship. And he demonstrated it with flying colors when he sang Romeo. He not only sang the part so well, but he also looked the part to a T. He embodied Romeo's youthfulness, nobility, charm, and his overall exuberance and passion. He was able to be an exciting singing actor, and he managed to have me at the palms of his hands. That is just how magnificent Juan Flores is in this particular role. I also loved it when he sang Ah, lève-toi soleil in the original key. as he was able to navigate the high tessitura of this particular part, and he certainly knew how to be as masterful as he's always been. So I'm not going to mince words here. Juan Diego Flores was an absolutely great superstar in his own special way, as he's always been. Then we go to a soprano who I've been wanting to hear for quite some time, and that was Aida Garifuna as Juliet. I first heard her on YouTube when she sang the Casta Diva from Norma, and while I felt like that aria was not really meant for her, I still have to give her a good amount of credit for at least singing everything so accurately. And I have been wanting to hear her as Juliet, as she has been very well known for singing all of these light lyric soprano roles with a few coloratura soprano tendencies. Roles like Leila from Le Pêcheur de Perles and even Musetta from La Bohème are definitely roles that fit her like a glove. And let's not forget about Eudoxie from La Juive. Her interpretation of Juliette was absolutely well done. She was able to take advantage of her pure lyric soprano voice, and she was able to find areas where she can sing a high note so effectively, and she knew how to embody Juliet with her youth, beauty, and grace. In the first half of the opera, she starts off as a youthful, exuberant, and absolutely lively young teenage girl. Then, in the second half of the opera, she becomes a self-sacrificing and absolutely loyal and passionate young woman. She was able to handle this type of metamorphosis pretty well. And not only did she sing the part so effectively, but she also looked the part. She was lithe, lovely, and she was an absolute darling in this particular role. And of course, Juan Diego Flores and Aida Garifuna's chemistry as the lovers was absolutely phenomenal. I can definitely tell that these two were able to work extremely well off of each other, that it managed to leave me on the edge of my seat. Their vocal magic was of the highest order, and their voices blended in such a heavenly manner that I really felt like these two stole the show in their own wonderful ways. So to Juan Diego Flores and Aida Garifuna, bravo to the both of you. You definitely made this particular opera shine, all thanks to your peerless musicianship and, of course, your great and absolutely exceptional vocal magic. Carlos Osuna was a virile Tybalt, with his fine and handsome and dashing lyric tenor voice and that swagger that he gives to this particular character. I was totally enamored, and I also followed his career ever since I first heard him at the Wiener Staatsoper about 2 to 3 years ago when I spent Christmas and New Year's there. He sang in a couple of productions, mainly Vets Macropoulos and Fatima, and I thought that he was able to give those particular roles he sang in a lot of life and a lot of beauty, and it's all thanks to that exceptional technique found in his full lyric tenor voice. And those were my same sentiments when I heard him as Tybalt. He had exceptional musicianship, and the way he was able to use that full lyric tenor voice, and the way he was able to move around the stage complete with his masculine swagger, and of course that great charisma about him, was so addicting to witness. He was extremely charismatic as Tybalt that I was anticipating the moments when he would open his mouth to sing some notes. And boy, was his voice completely in shape from beginning to end. And I also have to give him a great amount of kudos for his exceptional talents as a singing actor. Martin Müller managed to make the best out of the small role of Benvolio, and it's all thanks to that character tenor voice which he managed to use exceptionally, and of course, his great flair for drama. I would really love to see a lot more of this tenor because he has a fine voice and equally fine musicianship. Rachel Frenkel was a boyish, exuberant, and fun Stefano with her trademark lyric mezzo voice and of course her great acting chops. She was able to bring the role of Stefano to life. She was able to be so fun as a singing actress, especially when she was riding her bike on stage, and even every single moment where she was acting the absolute heck out of this part. I can definitely tell Miss Frenkel had a lot of fun singing Stefano, and it's all evident in the way she was able to be enthusiastic and so full of life and completely involved in this particular character. It should come off as no surprise that I've been following her career for quite some time, and I definitely have to say that she does play up her strengths so effectively. She's been always well known in singing a lot of these light lyric mezzo / full lyric mezzo roles, and she certainly accomplished a lot with singing Stefano. Gabriel Bermudez was a virile, handsome, and absolutely dashing mercutio, and it's all thanks to his lyric baritone voice, which manages to be round and rich and absolutely fine all the way through. He was a cavalier baritone in every single way, from his dashing good looks to his swagger, and of course to that fine focus he has in his voice. He certainly was an accomplished singing actor. He managed to make me love him as a complete performer, and he certainly caught my attention every single time he was on stage. Igor Onishenko was a tall and absolutely masculine Count Paris. He was able to take advantage of his tall frame and his handsome good looks, and of course that absolutely fine and focused lyric baritone voice that I was practically on cloud 9 when I heard him sing. He made the best out of this character part, and he knew how to add in a lot of vivacity. Ike Martirosyan was a supple, fine, and absolutely rich-voiced Gregorio, and it's all thanks to his basso cantante / basso profondo voice that he was able to bring this particular character role to life. It has that virile quality which I love in many a basso, and he certainly knew how to make the best out of this role, and it's all thanks to his great talents as a singing actor, complete with exceptional musicianship and, of course, the love for his craft. Wolfgang Bunkel was a decent Lord Capulet. However, if you ask me, there are times I feel like his Germanic style doesn't really gel too well with the French style Charles Gounod has to offer. It makes me feel like he's a character from a different opera, and he somehow managed to wander into Romeo and Juliet. That's not to discredit his talents as a singer. I still think that Wolfgang Bunkel is a talented and absolutely fine singing actor. However, in terms of this role, there are some moments which make me think that Baron Ochs or Count Waldner has wandered into the wrong opera. But I will give him this. He sang everything well. He was able to use his plush bass baritone / basso cantante / basso profondo voice to the best of his abilities, and he embodied this father figure pretty well. Sure, his Germanic style is a lot more suitable to singing works by Richard Wagner or Richard Strauss or many of the great German composers, rather than sing a lot of the works by the French or even Italian composers, but I will give him credit for at least challenging himself, and for that I totally respect him, because he was able to step out of his boundaries and experiment with something that is rather new to him, or even something that he's never done before, and he did so in a way that made him pretty fascinating as an overall singing actor. So I will give Herr Bankel lots of props in terms of how much effort he put in this particular character. In spite of his Germanic style not really meshing well with the French grand opera style of Charles Gounod, I will still give him a good amount of credit for everything he accomplished as a singer. And for that, I will still give him an A+ for his great efforts. Rosie Aldridge was a matronly and absolutely awesome Gertrude la Nourrice. She was able to take advantage of her mezzo contralto voice and make this role come alive so effectively. Even more so, she threw herself into this particular role, and she did an absolutely fabulous job as Gertrude. Dan Paul Dumitrescu's voice certainly served Frère Laurent exceptionally. It is a round, rich, cavernous, and absolutely dark basso profondo / cantante voice. He was a flawless singer from beginning to end, and he gave this particular role a lot of dignity and so much great musicality. Every time I hear him sing, I would sit there in complete awe with everything he does with his basso profondo / cantante voice. Alexandru Moisiuc managed to bring in a fair amount of toughness and nobility to Le Duc de Vérone, and it's all thanks to that basso profondo / cantante voice that he was able to make this particular role come to life. So overall, the singing was absolutely great all around, with the absolute standouts being Juan Diego Flores and Aida Garifuna as the iconic couple of Romeo and Juliet. Their peerless musicianship, their great control that they have of their voices, and of course the fact that they threw everything on the table to make their performances shine were absolutely in great evidence, and I salute the both of them. And the conducting done by Plácido Domingo was absolutely well done. Now, this was a gentleman who also used to sing Romeo during his tenor years, so I can definitely tell that he does understand the score very well. And with that experience, he certainly pulled it off, which should be no surprise, as Señor Domingo has been a conductor for a great amount of years. And of course, the orchestra of the Wiener Staatsoper was absolutely amazing. However, there were times I'm not too crazy about the chorus, even though they sang pretty well. There were times that they did not really sound so crisp, and there were times I felt like their voices didn't really blend well together. However, in spite of these flaws, I still have to give a fine amount of credit to every single member for pulling it together. So overall, even if I was not a major fan of this particular production, I still have to salute Juan Diego Flores and Aida Garifuna for making Romeo and Juliet come to life as characters, all thanks to their superb chemistry and, of course, their insurmountably magnificent talents as singing actors. And for those of you who saw this particular production of Gounod's Romeo and Juliet live from the Wiener Staatsoper, what did you think of it? Did you feel like Juan Diego Flores and Aida Garifuna stole the show as the main couple? Was there another singer who stole their thunder? Or did you feel like there was someone or something that just didn't really hold up to such high standards? Comment below and let me know. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for my review of Verdi's Rigoletto live from the Royal Opera House. So until then, good night, everybody.